Me and her together, we just count it up. Money on my mind, I can't get enough. Don't play with my money, you don't want no beef. Cause I come from the bottom, I come from the street. When she first saw me, she said, who is that? When a man saw me, he called me a threat. I'm the one that really live with a rap. They ain't never did it, they ain't really tried.
Fund managers making $1 million an hour. No, it's crazy, right? There's money everywhere. There's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino Is the Name. Hey, yo, what's going on? Right now you're watching Casino Is the Name. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you guys about $540,000 in rent. Now, I know many of you probably like, man, who would pay $540,000 in rent? And believe it or not, most people, actually. I was sitting around doing the numbers, and usually I have a conversation with people, you know, they might be in their 30s, 40s, and I break down how much they might have spent in rent over the course of 10 years or 15 years or however long they've been renting. And so I was looking up the average cost for rent. I was actually about to do a different video entirely, but I was looking up the average cost of rent while I was working on this other video, like planning for this other video I was going to shoot, where I talked about becoming a millionaire and how one of the major things that holds people back is basically the fact that they rented for most of their lives. See, most of us will make $1 million or more. Most of us, right? If you make $50,000 a year on average and you live and you work for 20 years, you've made $1 million. Now, you might be like, well, I haven't lived like I made $1 million, or it doesn't feel like I made $1 million. You probably made $1 million over the course of your work life, right? Which is 30, 40, 50 years, right? So when looking at this, right, I was planning for this other video, and next thing I know, I had a whole new video topic. That's right. About this $540,000 that most Americans or most people end up spending or more. When I say $540,000, I'm trying to adjust for the people who may live in a lower price area, but they still end up spending about the same amount of money if they live there long enough, right? If you rent for pretty much most of your life, then let's say 40 years, right? Let's say you've been an adult, you turn adult at 18, right? And let's say you rent from the time that you're 18 until the time that you're 58 years old, which is right before retirement. And I'm not even going out to 50 years, well into retirement age, which some people still won't be able to retire, but I'm not even trying to go into 68, 70 years old. Let's just say let's not even go to 58 years. 58 years old. Let's say you rent from the time that you're 18 for 30 years until the time that you are 48 years old, right? Now, I know a lot of you probably have moms or grandmoms that rent, granddads that rent. A lot of people have even been going to have coined the phrase grandma house or granddaddy house and don't even realize until granddaddy or grandma passes that they have rented those houses. Some people think that this must be our family home because my grandparent or great-grandparent has been here for 80 years, 70 years, 60 years. But a lot of times, well, I ain't gonna say a lot of times, sometimes even those houses have been being rented. You just never knew. Y'all had all these Thanksgivings and Christmases, and they have been renting from somebody else for an extended period of time. But we're not even going to dive that deep, right? We're just going to look at what the average apartment in Atlanta, and I'm only using Atlanta because I live in Atlanta. I know some of you don't live in Atlanta. Maybe rent is cheaper where you live. Some of you, maybe rent is higher. So we're just going to say on average for everybody, because I can go out to say 40, 50 years and say, well, what if you rent for 50 years? You'd still end up spending about this much, even if you're not just looking at a 30-year time frame. But let's say 18 to 48 years old. How many of you guys know some 45, 46, 50, 60-year-olds who are in apartments, have never owned a house? How many? There's quite a few people who fit that category. Now, if you know a 60-year-old or 50-year-old who's never owned a house and they've rented, think about it, they've rented for that long. If they haven't stayed on a family estate or something like that, but if they've rented for 40, 50 years, think about that. Just think about that, because we're going to look at a 30-year time frame, right? So over a 30-year time frame, let's do the numbers on that. So let's say, I'm going to look it up right now, because I don't want to over-exaggerate or under-exaggerate anything, right? So we're going to say, I'm going to type it in now. You can look it up too. So we're going to say average rent in Atlanta, 2022. Now, it might be some websites that have multiple amounts that they say average is this, average is that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to choose an amount that's $100, $200, $300 below what it's saying the average is, right? So this website says, the first one I pull up on Google from Rent Cafe is saying that average rent for an apartment in Atlanta is $1,812, right? $1,812. All right, so let's look at another one. Another one says the average rent for an Atlanta 2-bedroom apartment dated May 3rd, 2022 by apartmentlist.com says the average 2-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, Georgia is $2,431. All right, let's keep going. All right, so, okay, this one says rent.com says rental market trends. Average rent in Atlanta is between $1,698 and $2,684 in 2022. Now, we've looked at 3. Let's look at another one. The next one that I'm seeing, it says Zumper.com says average rent in Atlanta is $1,702. Around $1,700, because it's saying $1,700, $1,703 for different months. 2021, December was $1,702. So about $1,700. The lowest we've seen is $1,698, and we've seen all the way up to $2,684. All right, now let's use a number that's below that, right? Let's just use a number that's below that, all right? And let's use $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month sounds like a better number than what we're seeing, but it's at least a reasonable number to adjust for the years past where rent was lower, and for the current newer rents and the rents that are coming, right? It's going to be, the rents are going to continue to go up over a period of time. Over the next 20, 30, 40 years, rents will continue to go up. So let's just say for 30 years, somebody rented for $1,500 a month. So let's do the numbers on that, all right? So $1,500 a month times 12 months, right? 12 months is $18,000 a year. Okay, $18,000 a year, multiply that by 30 years, and that will give you $540,000 in rent. Now, you may look at it like, oh, that's $540,000 in rent, which is crazy in itself. But here's the flip. If you had purchased a house on a 30-year mortgage, that house would have been paid off. Not only did this cost you $540,000 in rent, but it also cost you an asset that would have appreciated. Let's say you still spent the same amount on your mortgage that you spent on that. So you're buying a house that would eventually at least have been worth $540,000, and it could have been worth even more. You might have spent, let's say you spent $540,000 on a house. You spent $540,000 on a house today. Well, you want to get that for $1,200 in rent. But let's just say over 30 years, the house went up to being worth $540,000. You're also appreciating, but let's just say you bought a house that was 200 and some thousand today, maybe 150,000, 200,000, whatever. And you just held the house for the next 30 years and would have gone up in value to be around, say, 540, right? That 540 is actually that 540 is really 1,080,000. It's really like dual sided, because at the end, when you 30 years from now, that 540,000 that you spent is gone if you're in an apartment. But if you own a house, you have a value, you have an asset that's worth 540,000. So instead of one side being negative 540,000, you're really up 540,000. It is a clear $1 million difference between the two. Not to mention that moving forward, you're gonna have no more rent. You're gonna have to pay taxes on the house, but let's say taxes is $300 a month, right? Let's say taxes is $300 a month. That person who's at 50, 58, or 48 still has to pay $1,500 a month in rent. That's at least a $1,200 difference. Just think about that, right? So you're already $1 million behind because you had to, instead of being able to spend $540,000 investing into where you live, or investing into an asset that either can be sold or rented out or refinanced and pulled money out and bought something different, whatever it was, or even just passed on so that maybe your kids don't have to rent somewhere, or they can sell it, or there's a value there. There's a $540,000 value that is going to be completely missed because you were in an apartment. So let's just say we're looking at both of these scenarios, right? And let's just say you were fortunate enough to retire at 48. So 18 to you was 48, working 30 years. One person is renting and one person is buying the house. So in the end, it's $1 million difference. But let's just look at the value of the asset itself. Let's say the asset is $540,000. You've been in an apartment. You can pass none of that along. That's all gone. All that money is gone. What's popping, DL? Well, that's crazy. 2 bedrooms used to be $1,000 to $1,200 a month. Yeah, in 2017, you might as well buy a house. That's right. I'm way behind, bro. I rented for 20 years before I decided to buy my first house. Well, just keep watching, because 20 years you you definitely spend a lot of money renting, but there's value in where you are right now. All right. So now let's say at 48, both people are able to retire for whatever reason. Who knows why, right? But let's just use this as an example. At 48, both people are able to retire. One person has an asset worth $540,000. So when he gets ready to move, they both decide they want to leave Atlanta and they want to move to Idaho. Nobody would want to do that, by the way. But let's just say they wanted to move to Idaho, right? One person is moving from an apartment to Idaho, and he's going to be either, let's say both of them want to buy a house where they go, or maybe the other person has to rent. We don't know. But let's just say both ideally would be able to buy a house where they move to next, right? And they're going into their retirement. One had an asset that either he could rent out and make money every month, cash flow. Let's say he renting to somebody for $2,000 a month. He's only paying $300 in taxes or something like that. But let's just say he's profiting $1,500 a month. This other person has to now move, and still they're both trying to buy houses at the same time. But of course, moving out of apartment, you ain't really got nothing extra. You can't take any of that with you. You can't rent your old apartment and make $1,500, right? Because they already charge you like $1,500. So you really be paying it's really be canceling itself out, even if you did that. But if you move, right, one is able to go purchase something cash if they sold the house that was worth $540,000. They're able to come into that situation with $500,000 more than the other person. Or they'd be able to come with a cash flowing asset that could possibly, if they go out there to Idaho where nobody really is, and they could get that $1,200 a month mortgage or something like that, and they could be profiting even in a new house and still owning more and more and more, and they can leave them both to their children. While the other person, even if they move to that $1,200 a month house, they still are $500,000 behind. And or they won't have an asset that they can still pass along. That's $500,000 more. So, but let's say at 48, they decide, okay, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm 48 years old. I'm gonna buy a house. I rent it for 30 years. Let me buy a house now, right? So they buy this house. They start buying this house. Now let's say they live until we don't know what's going to happen, right? So let's just say they're going to live until they're 68. They live for 20 years in that house that they started purchasing at 48. It's so crazy that, yes, they didn't pay the house off, but because they've been in this house for 20 years, the house that they purchased has appreciated in value, and what they were buying it for was at a certain amount. Let's say they were buying it for $300,000. They've paid down to the last, maybe they had 10 years left. I don't know. Maybe they had another $100,000 on the house, but the house is appreciated to $500,000. So even in that time frame from them being 48 years old, just deciding, you know what, I'm gonna start buying a house, they still are able to pass along hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity to their loved ones, right? But let's not forget how far they still are behind. But even just that amount of action for that period of time still was worth hundreds of almost $400,000, maybe $400,000+, just from them deciding at 48, and they didn't even have to live to 70, 80, 90, and they still left $300,000 to $400,000 of equity for their loved ones. That is how far we are behind as a people, right? When you coming from poverty, grow up in apartments, grow up in the projects, ain't nobody got nothing, because we're that far behind, because even in a 20-year time frame, you could pass along hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity. And that's in a 20-year time frame. We may be 200, your family might be 200 years behind the next family that did it a certain way. Might be 80 years behind. That's what we're talking about. That is the power of taking control today, doing it now. Don't play with this. Don't play with this. So I was like, you know what? I couldn't do the other video without talking about this, because this is important. Like, we gotta take control now. Yeah, you spent 20 years renting, Terrence. Terrence, Elijah, that bro? What's good, bro? Yeah. You might have spent 20 years renting, but what you did now, what you're doing now at whatever age you are, it's still going to be a benefit to your family just because you started doing it now. I didn't even know that was you. I got these shades on. It's bright in here. That's why I got these shades on. But yeah, just even what you're doing right now is still a benefit to your family, even though you might feel like you started late. Yeah. I mean, we already late, as a people. We already behind. But just some action today, understanding how valuable this is. So the video I was gonna do was about how simple it is to become a millionaire if you do at least these three things, right? One is start buying your house. Two, invest in real estate. And three was buy assets. Don't buy liabilities. Buy things that hold value and that can increase value over time. It's really simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to invest. When I'm talking about 401k plans, buying stocks, whatever, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Just consider, S&P 500, something like that. Learn about your retirement accounts, put money up for retirement, things like that. Just steady. It's people who make $50,000 a year and they're millionaires. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'm going to tell you how many people say having a job can't make you rich and this and that. Depends on what you consider rich. But if you're talking about being a millionaire just means $1 million in assets. It's not very difficult to do that. It's not very difficult. One person said, well, just buy 10 $100,000 houses and just wait 30 years and they paid off and then you're a millionaire. Like, it's not that difficult of a science to do this. But let me see. I'm gonna look up TSP. TSP is the government's. So the government is the largest employer in the world, right? The federal government is the largest employer in the world. So the TSP is the thrift savings plans. That's the government's 401k plan, right? So if you work for the government, I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me see. All right, the TSP, the thrift savings plan, and they did just take it said 11% drop because the stock market is down right now. So there was 11% drop in the first quarter of TSP millionaires, but it is as of March 2022. There is as of March 31st, 2022, there's 100,364 TSP millionaires. That means they are government employee millionaires based off of the value of the stocks that they have in their retirement accounts, right? It's 100,000 millionaires who have jobs. They got jobs, regular jobs. They just have been consistently investing over a period of time. It's not that difficult. And then, if they own houses, that's just increasing their valuation. We're just talking about in their retirement accounts alone, it's 100,000 TSP millionaires. There you go. It's not that difficult. Trust me. You don't have to be too bright. A lot of them are renters too. So it's not even saying that you can't still become a millionaire while you're renting. You can still become a millionaire while you're renting. It's just you're still $500,000, $1 million behind. Think about it. It's right there. It's right in front of you. It's not that difficult. Trust me. Anyway, I want to get on here, just holler at you guys real quick. Hold on, let me see what you guys are saying. That's what's up, bro. I see you, Terrence. Yeah, okay. Obviously, more is better, but I think 3 million is the target for rich to me. So 3 million, you know what? Some people consider $100,000 rich. Rich is perspective, I guess you can say, but rich is measured. So there's a difference between wealth and rich, right? And so rich is measured in amount. Wealth is measured in time, right? So you could be, say if you got a check for $1 million, say $5 million, but you spend $1 million a year, it only lasts you 5 years, right? But so that means that you are 5 years wealthy, right? You want to be at a point where you can never run out of, based off of how you spend, you won't run out of money. So if you're making $30,000 a month from rents that people are paying you and your expenses are $5,000 a month, then you'll never run out of money so long as your expenses stay at $5,000 a month, right? So you're wealthy forever. Like that's wealth. You never run out of money. But if you spending money as fast as you get it, then you're only as wealthy as you can go off of the money that came in. So it's kind of a difference in mentality when it comes to that. Let me see. Yeah, you're right about having enough assets to leave your family for sure. But so you may think rich is $3 million. Somebody else may look at rich as $100,000. It's people look at me and be like, yo, you rich. And I'm going to be honest, even based off of what my concept was of rich, growing up, even early part of my adulthood, had I looked at a person and saw them with the things that I have, I would have said, yo, you rich. That would have been rich to me. Multiple houses, Porsche, multiple cars, been to 11 countries, making what I make, things like that. Like I would have thought that I was rich. I would have looked at me and said, yo, you rich. Even at 20 years old, I would have looked at what I have and been like, yo, this dude rich. Yo, he rich, but my perspective of money is different, of course, now, right? I'm around people who talk about $100 million and I'm like, yeah, somebody like, yo, I made $12 million in 4 years. Like, God, like, what am I doing? I'm doing something wrong here, So, but based off of my perspective, it's changed. But just looking at what, because you never know how much people really making, right? Like somebody might have chains and jewelry on, but they might be broke as hell. And, to a certain point of view, it might look like one thing, but the average person is out here spending. Now, look, we looked at 30 years. Imagine your aunties and uncles and cousins and grandparents who have been renting their entire life, never purchased a house, right? They've never purchased a house and they've rented their entire life. If that is going to be you, or if you know people who are pretty much following in that same mode, credit messed up. They always talking about, my credit messed up. I can't get in none. I'm just trying to pay for, trying to get in another apartment. Every tax season, they move into another apartment. They wait on their taxes so they can get into a spot, and they doing this continual cycle, 10 years straight, taxes dropping. I'm just waiting on my taxes. So they come stay with a family member for a little while until their taxes hit, and then they can go get their own spot, and they're going to be in there for a little while. They're going to try and pay it up for 6 months, and then they're going to hit the same cycle next year. And they run it, they wait on their taxes. It's people who are doing this year after year after year after year until the kids get grown and they can't get the kind of tax they was getting before. Now they want to try and get their life, kind of together, but they still trying to work on their credit. They've been doing this for 40 years. For 40 years. So if you were 18 and you run this cycle until you 58, 60 years old, now you're going into retirement at 62, and people are not trying to, soon as people who in poverty hit 62, they definitely done with working. I can get Social Security now, which is less than the money that they was making at their job, right? So they're making even less money. They're never going to move into a house. Never. It's not even in the cards for them. They're going to hit 62. They're going to try and get on Section 8 or get some kind of government assistance so they can offset the price of rent, or they're going to move in with a family member. And this is the cycle. This is the cycle. It's not even a question about it. I know the cycle, right? And we all can see it. We all know it. So when you look at, think about this. If this becomes you, right, and you 18 and you go through the same cycle that you've seen all of these people go through. I'm a city boy. I grew up in the city. That's how it is. So you see the people go through the same cycle. You see them hit a certain age, they get their Social Security and ain't enough to live off of. So I seen people Social Security is $900 a month. What are you gonna do? They got to get some kind of assistance, or they got to live with somebody, or other people, family members, boyfriends, girlfriend, whatever they got to do. They got to live together. It's impossible for them to survive by themselves. They get Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. They can't make it without some kind of assistance, because, and it's crazy because they were making more money before they retired, but they still were just bad with money. They never did the things that would have made them up. They could have been. Think about this. I'm finna do this number. All right, $1,500 a month, and you 68. Well, you 62, right? Hold on. Matter of fact, 62 minus 18. Y'all could do these calculations. That gives 44 years. 44 years times 12 months. That's 528 months that they have paid $1,500 a month. They paid $792,000 in rent. $792,000 in rent. And they 62 saying they ain't got no money. The numbers don't get no realer than that. Anyway, hold on, let me see what y'all saying. What's good, bro? Southern Comfort, what's popping? I'm trying to see who this is right here. I can't make this. I can't tell if that's a symbol. I don't know what that is. So they said Casino 5, what's popping? Okay, Jasmine, what's good? What's good? And see you in a minute. All right, exponentially. Okay. How do I do that and shorten the time frame? How do you do what and shorten the time frame? What you asking? DL? So how do you do what and shorten the time frame? Oh, yeah. How do you do what and shorten the time frame? Because $792,000 is what they're gonna end up spending by the time they're 62. And think about it. If you are this person, if you are going to be this person, like if you're on the path to being this person, rent For you in the next, if you're my age and you've been renting since you were 18, like people do, and you're gonna be on this path until you're 62, rent is already higher in Atlanta on average than $1,500 a month. I used a lower number to show how crazy it is. It's saying rent is between, the lowest we saw was $1,600 and the highest we saw was like $2,600 on average, right? For Atlanta, if you look online, you type it in, Google it, average rent in Atlanta, that's what we read them off, right? So if that's the case, $1,500 a month is not going to be average rent. It's not already not average rent, but it's definitely not going to be the average rent in 20 years, 30, say 33. Let me see, hold on. I like to just do the number. So y'all can type it in 62, I'm 37. So 62 minus whatever your age is, minus 37 for me, that's 25 years, right? So in 25 years, with the level of inflation as it is, my mortgage is going to go up some. It's probably going to go up $100, $200 because of taxes. My mortgage is $1,300, $1,363. But because of taxes, it's going to go up. Maybe even $300 it'll go up per month. It might go up $300 just because the value of the house is rising so fast, right? Because of inflation. But it might go up $300. Rent is guaranteed to go up, guaranteed another $700, $800, $900 a month easily over 25 years. Oh yeah, rent has gone up for some people $500 this year. I know people who was paying $1,200 and now they paying $1,700. Same apartment. I know people who was paying $1,500 and it jumped to $2,300. Same year. It was last year was one. This year is something different. They got to move, or they got to stay. Or they got to stay and pay, or they got to move. I know so many people who have moved. It's crazy. Imagine this is happening right now. Childhood friends are being separated right now. Right now. It's somebody kid out here in this YouTube world, in this real world, who best friend is having to move because his mama can't afford the rent next door no more. And in a housing neighborhood, these parents own this house. The parents next door been staying there for 8 years. They don't own that. Rent jumped up on them. They can't stay. Oh, that's too high. I gotta go. But they're gonna go rent somewhere else, but they can't stay there. Right? They're gonna figure out where they can go, but they not gonna pay $500 more. Oh no, I gotta go. Right? But they're gonna end up paying that anyway, because they ain't gonna be able to go nowhere. Right? But they packed up now. Right? Or either the person who owns the house says, no, I want to come back home because rent out here is too high. Not rent, but like maybe the person who owns the house was renting, or maybe they got a family member who was renting somewhere and they like, yo, I can't continue paying this rent. Don't you still got that house? Well, I'm your son. I need a place to stay because me and my kids can't afford this rent in Nebraska. We got to move back to Atlanta and you got a house for us already. Well, you got to tell them to move. And this is what's happening. This is what's happening. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. I'm seeing it. I know it's happening. I'm talking to the people it's happening to. But easily, y'all could do the number. Type in $1,500 a month times, 44 years. 1,500 times 12 for months times 44 years and see what you get. It's a crazy number. $792,000. This is real life. And that's until you 62. It's people who's 75. Oh, and believe when you owe, you definitely renting for real, for real. It's better to be $500,000, $700,000 up when you renting, when you gonna have to rent, when you 75, because you got to go into a assisted living facility. It's better to be $1 million up than $1 million down. It's a huge gap between spending $790,000 and not, because think about what that is. You spent $792,000 renting. Somebody else spent Definitely probably like way less than that, maybe $500,000, like paying off a mortgage, 300,000. I think mine gonna be when this house paid off. I think it said it's like 300 or some thousand I would have spent paying this house off. I bought it at 233, but low interest rate, whatever. But it's gonna be like three something if I drag it all the way out to the 30-year mark, right? It's gonna be three something or whatever. But the value of the house is well into the fours. I'm waiting for it to get to 500. You know what I mean right now, but it's like four something. Can't remember exactly what the number is, but it's in the fours now, right? So even in the next 20 years or however long it takes me to pay it off, it's already more than what I would have paid in total over 20 years. It's already worth more than that. But being $792,000 spent out versus being an asset that you own being worth $792,000, then that, when you multiply that times two, because it's really two sides, you're not just $792,000 up, you didn't do $792,000 in the hole. So that's $1.5 million difference there. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. All right, hold on. Let me see what you guys are saying. Right, speed up the velocity of the money, how to grow income faster. Yeah, and we'll have to get into that too, because income is important, right? Income is important because income is more important for trying to live the life you want now, because you'll be a millionaire so long as you invest, buy right, do things like that. You know what I mean? You're going to be a millionaire regardless, right? That you can make $50,000 a year and be a millionaire by the time you retire. That's not the problem. If you're trying to be a millionaire fast, or you're trying to be rich fast or whatever, then, or you want to live, because most of the things that we do are going to benefit our kids more than it's going to benefit us or grandkids or whatever else. That's the concept, generational wealth kind of thing, right? It's going to benefit them more than it's going to benefit us. And fortunately, if you're fortunate, you'll get the chance to live in the house, right? But these houses, right? My houses are just a stepping stone for what my son is going to inherit. And if he does it right, if he expands on what this is that we're building, then his kids will benefit more than him. And as long as we continue to expand, the future generations benefit more than us, right? But if we want to enjoy life today, then we have to increase income, right? We have to increase income if we want to enjoy life today. I had saw something. I'm gonna do a video on that, like the cost of living of, because I did a video on it before. Matter of fact, I kind of want to look it up right now, but I don't want to get into that right now. We'll do a video on that. Like basically, income in houses only just started really going up the last couple of years. Income in houses kind of stayed stagnant for like 20 years. It didn't increase much, maybe $5,000-$6,000 for a 4-person household, which was crazy when everything else doubled and quadrupled and things like that. Incomes are just now really starting to go up, you know? Like for instance, like let's say in 1995, average household income, I'm throwing a number out there because I can't remember the exact number, but it was something like $52,000 or something like that for an average 4-person household. And that was in 1995, and then like 2015, 20 years later, the average household income was $57,000. It went up $5,000 over 20 years. But the cost of food, gas, rent, houses, everything doubled or quadrupled, especially the cost of college and stuff. It like quadrupled over that same 20-year time frame. So to live how the average family lived off of $52,000 back then, we would have needed to make 4 times the amount of money that. So your household should have been making $200,000 to live like a family that was making 52. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy different. It's crazy different. Don't get me wrong. There was still a lot of people making $10,000, $20,000 a year, but that was still a lot different from. That was still $10,000 and $20,000 a year back then was like making $40,000 and $80,000. You know what I'm saying? Like it's compared to today. But anyway, what we doing? All right, hold on. I have houses, but I'm barely making out on them. I understand. I'm leveraging. I'm looking to cash out. I want to get an alteration shop catered to military amount. Okay. Rent going up. They're kicking people out and into inflated markets. And yeah, without increased pay, I've been trying to get into dividend investing and starting a snowball starting out, and I can already see the power in it. Yeah, Kaylin, what's the numbers on yours? Like, what do you mean you barely making out on them? Like, how many do you have? How are you renting them? Because maybe you need to do Airbnb. Maybe you need to do some house hacking, or maybe even not Airbnb. Maybe you need to just do some kind of boarding kind of situation where you rent per room or something like that. Because I know, shoot, I can get $1,500 a room here, just because there's so many people moving to Atlanta. I can easily get $1,500 a room, and I got 4 bedrooms. I can turn a $1,300 mortgage into a $6,000 per month. Well, I'll still have to pay like rent. I mean, the light bill, water bill, and all that kind of stuff. But I can easily, let's say all of that is less than 2,000. I can make 4,000 a month if that's what I was trying to do. Like, so I don't know how you're doing it. Dividend investing is cool, I guess. It's not a lot of money in it unless you're putting a lot of money in it. I prefer to invest in myself. I prefer to invest in my own businesses. Like, this is my watch right here, right? I manufacture this watch. This is mine. Invest, like, the money that somebody might be looking to put in a stock, I'll be investing in my own shoe line or something like that. Like, as a matter of fact, the reason I'm saying it, because it's something I've been thinking about, because where I am in my life, my son is wearing Jordans, and I think Jordans are cool, but like, I'm so mature that it's weird wearing the same shoes or looking at the same shoes as my son. Like, I don't feel too premium, It's like me driving my son want a Challenger, and that's cool. I like Challengers. But I'm a Porsche guy at this point, a Benz or something. I don't know. It's just, and when he graduated to Benz, I'm trying to be on Rolls Royces or something. Like, it's just something, Anyway, but I would be investing in my own thing, whatever it is. Like, I was almost invested in my own, like, chips, my own sodas, casino sodas or whatever. Like, I prefer to invest in me than put the money there, because the return on investment is going to be way higher. Now, does it require more work? Is it more of a active investment, more business? Yes. But dividend investing them dividends is so low unless you got tons of money in them. Anyway, I just prefer to do it the other way, but that's me. I've been trying to keep the dividend. Okay. So anyway, I'm about to get up off of here, man. I appreciate y'all coming in here and rocking with me real quick, man. I just wanted to come on here. Hold on, let me see. There's all these bots on here, man. What are these bots on, man? Anyway, the title of the video was $540,000 in rent, because that's what people are paying on a 30-year time frame. But when we really looked at it from 18 to retirement age, we're really looking at like 792,000 or more. And most people don't realize that they make $1 million a year. They don't even, not a year, but they make $1 million over the course of their life. You know what I mean? The people I talked to who I know made $1 million, and they was like, nah, I ain't never make, over the course of my life, I'm sure I never saw $1 million. And I said, well, let's sit down and look at how much money you made. And we sat down, and they 60-something years old, looked at the numbers like, dang, yeah, I made at least that per year on average, when we average out middle, high. And it's like, yeah, I made at least that. They might have been sitting at about 1.6 million. But based off of the fact that they've been renting and they've been doing this and they've been doing that, they never owned anything. It's like it didn't exist. And they taking that money. They definitely not going to give your money back. They definitely not going to give your money back. By the way, if y'all could do me a favor, could y'all smash the like button, please? Could y'all hit that like button for me? We got to get these likes up, man. To rank in this YouTube algorithm, man. We got to get this up. But yeah, you definitely back to DL. You say you want to speed up the velocity of money. Definitely got to grow your income. So the best, it's so many ways to grow your income. It's so many ways. It's a different world that we're living in. Our kids growing up in a whole different everything. Like they got, it's people. I know people who had state jobs and quit their job to drive Uber because they was making so much money on Uber with a Uber XL with a truck that they was like, I'm done. Just moving people back and forth from the port down in Miami and stuff. Like it's making way too much money. So it's so many other options, that you can make money in this world online. If you figure out how to run your Shopify store, if you figure out how to sell stuff on eBay, if you figure out how to sell stuff on Amazon, buying stuff and reselling it online. If you took a car and just broke it down for parts, it's crazy. It's crazy. The world we live in is crazy right now. And it's so much money. So much money. That's why the scammers is scamming, because it's so easy for them to run up a bag. So easy. This is way different from what it used to be. For like, I graduated high school 2003. So, we had a few opportunities, but nothing like this. Nothing like where you can work from home and make $100,000 a year from your laptop, legit job, answering phones and sending emails and working in documents and things like that. There's people doing all kind of stuff, selling insurance and all that kind of stuff, and they at home on their phone. Like it's crazy. This is a whole different. I remember my mom came to like visit here, and she said, I came home. I had went to work. Now I was working from home at the time, and I came home one day from like I had to go into the office. So I came home one day, and she said, yo, what kind of neighborhood is this? I said, what you mean? She said, I ain't never been nowhere like this. I said, what you mean? She said, all y'all live in these big, nice houses. Everybody out here, like living good, making money. She said, but this is the first time I've been here. She was like, I've been here 4 days. This is the first time I ain't seen nobody leave their house. I said, oh, that's, they probably just work from home. She was like, the whole neighborhood work from home? Like, I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to them. I'd be in the house. I don't know what they're doing outside, So she's like, nobody has like, she's like, in the morning you would see like cars like leaving out in droves, like in regular neighborhoods. Everybody know people going to work around this time. They're getting off around this time. She said, nobody has moved in days. She said, every now and then somebody drive to the store and come back. But what is this? How y'all making money to live like this and y'all don't never go nowhere? And that's the world we in. That's just the world we in, That's just the world we in. But I definitely appreciate y'all coming through, rocking with me. Make sure y'all smash that like button, man. Hit that like button for me. Also, hit the bell icon. If you go to my channel, hit the bell icon. It'll let you know the next time I'm going to upload a video. And the next video, I'm trying to figure out the right title for it. I don't know, like, if I'm going to title it three simple ways to become a millionaire, or a guide to a million, or whatever. I don't know what to call it, but it's not that difficult to be considered a millionaire. But I feel who said that? Was that Southern? No, who was that? Who said that $3 million to them is rich? Oh, All Pro. Yeah, $3 million would be considered rich to them. And yeah, I understand that's perspective. I won't feel really, really done, you know what I'm saying, until I get at least like 10 million. Like, I ain't gonna never like $1, $2, $3 million. I done made $1 million and spent $1 million. You look at it, right? You make $1 million, you make $100,000 a year for 10 years, you've made $1 million. Like, and when you look at it, I bet after those 10 years, most people won't be like, dang, I still got 500,000 of it left. No, you have probably almost none of it left, right? So $1 million isn't enough money to me to be like all gung ho about. You know, I need like 10 million before like I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. But anyway, you know, we also need to talk about stocks and 401k plans. And if you haven't ever heard of self-directed IRAs, you definitely want to check that out too. Self-directed IRAs. Self-directed IRAs. All right, man. So we just hit 100 views. I'm about to get up off of here, man. I appreciate y'all stepping in, rocking with your boy. Right now, you watching Casino is the Name. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that like button for your boy. You know, help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, so about to get up off of here. All right, we out.
Beat me up, Scotty. Beat me up, Scotty.
Me and her together, we just count it up. Money on my mind, I can't get enough. Don't play with my money, you don't want no beef. Cause I come from the bottom, I come from the street. When she first saw me, she say, who is that? When a man saw me, he called me a threat. I'm the one that really live with a rap. They ain't never did it, they ain't really trying.
Just making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? There's money everywhere. There's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino is the Name.